Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Analytics and Data Oracle User Community TechCast Days. We are going to wait a few minutes in order to wait for the rest of the people, and we're going to start in a couple of minutes.
While we're waiting, if anyone wants to just give us a quick hello in the chat and let us know where you're calling in from, that'd be great.
We'll go through some introductory material on who Analytics and Data Oracle User Community is, and then we'll be getting into the labs very quickly. You can actually find the link is displayed there. We'll put it in the chat as well. You can start downloading some files that you'll need for this hands-on series of hands-on labs, and we'll get started real soon here.
Okay, perfect. So there is many ways to connect with our community. So this is a community that focuses on analytics, on spatial and graph, and also with machine learning. So we are focusing on these topics, and the idea of our community that we all share and we all take advantage of the knowledge of everyone. So if you want to join us in a conversation, this is an invitation for our Slack channel. We're going to put that in the chat. We have also a newsletter that you can just take it. And you can follow us in LinkedIn, in Twitter, and in Facebook. So join us in the community. You will be more than welcome. Okay, so this is the link for the invitation of the Slack channel. You can join with Google or with Apple, or you create your email and password. Okay, so let's continue with this. Wow, I don't know if you know, but we have a great merchandising. And in fact, Dan is one of the main followers of this merchandising, and he can do a live demo, right?
Here's my live demo. We'll have more live demos. But, you can see as I pour, I have one of these handy dandy Analytics and Data Oracle User Community mugs. And assuming my hot pot warmer was working, as you pour into this a hot beverage, it'll actually change color before your eyes. And you can see it's starting to turn white, and we'll be able to showcase you too can get one of these at analyticsanddatasummit.org/shop, and you can get your color changing mug that shows the difference in different types of distributions of data. A normal distribution and a paranormal distribution of data. And on the other side is the nice Analytics and Data Oracle User Community logo.
That's perfect. Everyone should have one. That's great. So follow us on the merchandising site. We also, as you probably know, have a TechCast 2 per month. And we really want people to participate on that. So the idea is you can submit your abstract, and you have, I don't know, something that you solve an issue in a specific way. You want to share some experience that you have been working with a specific client or whatever, just submit your abstract in our website. We're going to review it and contact you. Dan, you want to talk about our next TechCast?
Sure. Yeah, we're going to be the next TechCast days presentation. Next TechCast is going to be on Thursday, June 3rd. We're going to be joined by Patrick Wheeler. He's the VP of Product Management. He's going to be talking about the autonomous database tools. We actually, as a user community, hosted him back in, I think it was November, and I was kind of the moderator on this, and I'll moderate this one as well. It's pretty exciting what they're doing with autonomous database tools. Allows you now to more easily import your data. It discovers the relationships between your different tables, will create analytic views automatically for you, and it has some machine learning built into the data scrubbing tools for that. So you should join us on June 3rd. You'll find information on andouc.org, and you can sign up under TechCast and join us. We have these about every 2 weeks or so. We have one of these TechCasts, and we'd love for you to present as well.
Perfect. And all this material is, all these TechCasts as well as the TechCast Day is all for free. And we also have the recordings of all sessions in our site and in our YouTube channel. So you don't have any excuse to be completely up to date into these technologies. Shay, do you want to talk about our TechCast Days?
Well, yes, yeah, there are 3 days in a row. We have analytics and plus like today, and then we have graph and spatial on a separate day and machine learning on a third day. And the next one is coming up in October. This week we had the prior 2 days, so this is a third of 3 days for this week. And we've gone through this about 3 or 4 times now. And every time we get a lot more people from all over the world.
Perfect, that's totally true. Okay, so, and we also have some useful information. I don't know, Brendan, do you want to talk about all the information that we have?
Yeah, absolutely. I think with Oracle Analytics Cloud, there's a lot you can already do within it, but there's already so many great useful resources outside as well. And some that you're just seeing right here, being the Oracle Analytics Library. This is really the home to extend your projects that much further with a lot of free tutorials and data visualization plugins and map plugins and things like that. So definitely encouraged to leverage the library. With the Run OAC Live, this is a live sandbox that you can go and play in if you don't have your own instance. So definitely leverage this just to learn the tool, filter throughout visualizations and see all the capabilities that OAC can deliver. And then with the Udemy courses, we have 2 completely free Udemy courses, one focusing more on the self-service aspect and the second on the machine learning aspect as well. And you can either leverage this with your Oracle Analytics Cloud instance or with a data visualization desktop. And then lastly, all of our content and all of our new releases and customer interviews are added to our Oracle Analytics channel on YouTube. So definitely encourage everyone to check those out as well.
Perfect.
And
Thank you
then
so
while
much.
you were talking about them, I dropped them into chat so that people can see all these links.
Perfect.
Grab them from the chat.
And in addition to that, we have more information in our Slack channel. So if you join our Slack channel, in addition to this useful information, you can have more important links and more important events that other people also are doing. Okay, this is our YouTube channel. I will come back to our slides. But well, I should put this slide at the beginning. So this is our hands-on lab presenters. I will do a very short introduction of myself. My name is Edelweiss Kammerman. Everybody call me Edel because it's easier that way. I am Oracle's director. I have been working with Oracle Technologies for more than 20 years. I'm part of the board member. I'm part of the board director of Analytics Data Oracle User Community, and I work as a senior manager of BI and data integration of IT conversions. And Dan?
I'm Dan Valamis, president of Valamis Software Solutions, and been board member since just about the beginning of BIWA, and then now, of course, we're Analytics and Data Oracle User Community. Been doing this a long time, so thrilled to be joining you all. Jay?
Yeah, hi, I'm Jay Mason. I lead up the artificial intelligence and digital transformation practices at M&S Consulting. Worked with Oracle Technologies for over 20 years, and I'm also on the board of the Oracle Analytics Data User Community.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brendan Doyle. I'm an Oracle Analytics product manager on the product strategy team. And I think I joined ANDOUC kind of as a liaison from the Oracle side about 1.5 years ago, and been awesome to see the growth of the community and all the new speakers and faces that have joined. So great to join this one as well. Thanks for including me, guys.
Thanks to you. Okay, so let's start with the hands-on lab. So first of all, you need to download some of the files that we have in this particular website. I'm having it here. So let me, let me come back to that. This is our YouTube channel. I will close it. This is the site. Okay, so first of all, we have one zip file. So we have a lot of CSV and Excel files that you have to download in order to, because we're going to use it in the hands-on labs. You can download it, each one if you want, or you have the zip file with everything there, including the instructions. Okay, so this, we have 3 labs. One for the self-service data visualization. The second one it will be for the data preparation and data flow. And the third one, it will be to data profiling and some machine learning analysis. Okay, so it's going to be really, really great hands-on labs. It will be better for you maybe if you download the zip file. And then here you have the whole sign up. Okay, if I press here, you will see a spreadsheet with the user, your name, and the user and password. Okay, so we have 2 instances and we have 75 users per each instance. So please be sure that when you save your objects, you put your initials in the name of the object that you are saving. Okay. Okay, then, so we already talked about the links and the user and password. Okay. This is the hands-on lab.
Let me interrupt. Yes. One thing that I want to make sure everybody realizes when they're doing the labs, we have 3 different instances, and I want to give you a chance to download those files and find your instance name. We had such a wide turnout for this, we actually overflowed one of our instances. So we have multiple instances on this, instance 2, 3, and 4. And if you look on that spreadsheet, we've spread you all out. It's sorted by last name. So find out what your user ID and password is on that. And you can find yourself on there. There's the URL to log in. And your user ID, oac.user01 all the way through user 75. And the password is not real secret, workshop 111 with a capital W. And that's how you can log in. That's going to be part of the exercise you're going through, but I want to make sure you have a chance to find your appropriate user ID. And I'll also say the URL that you list there, that's where we want you to click on. We thought we'd be able to use one instance, and just a bit of housekeeping. This was originally on version 5.9 of OAC, and OAC 6.0 came out. So we're using 6.0 and scrambled a bit to show you the latest features on all the labs, because we figured we might as well do it on the latest version of the software. So that's why we ended up switching around. If you don't see exactly what we're looking at, it may be because you're on the 5.9 version, but if you use the one in the sheet, we'll all be on the same 6.0 instance and use that for your lookup. You'll also find the PDFs. If you want to be able to look at the instructions while you're doing this, you need to download those PDF files from the website, and you can follow along. Depending on when you download it, if you downloaded it yesterday, you'll have the 5.9 version. We did some updates as we scrambled to update everything to 6.0. You may get that soon, depending on when the website got updated. Go ahead, Adel.
Okay,
so you're signing in while I talk. Okay, fantastic.
Okay, so once you select the right URL for you when you check the Excel file, it will be nice if you put it in the chat. If you already check what is your user and password in your URL, it will be nice. So we can maybe give 1 or 2 minutes to people to let us know that they are ready to go. What do you think then?
Yeah, I think, well, there's a question here that one of the participants asked, what if you didn't pre-register, can you still participate? Yeah, it looks like we have enough user IDs. What happens is, in effect, OAC is an environment that allows multiple users per user ID. It's not preferred because if you save something, you're going to see the other person's work, but really isn't that bad. It's just you're going to see the shadow of that other person. So I would tell you, if you're looking on the spreadsheet and you want to just jump on an extra user ID that you see that's available, and rather than trying to assign it, or chat us and we'll assign you one, will be able to go. We should ask, and Carrie, I'll ask, do we have a poll that we can fire on whether people are ready to go to continue? Did we ever get that entered?
I can certainly add one. Just you've got to give me a minute.
If you can put one in, I think that'd be great. But
Great.
we're trying to get everybody logged in so they can actually start with the lab. If we can fire one. I see people putting in the chat. That's great. Ready to log in. One of the things I also wanted to mention, as you have questions on these labs, we recognize, you know, each of us are presenting a piece of this lab. Adel's going to present lab 1. Jay is going to present lab 2. I'll present lab 3. But as you go through, you're going to have questions on stuff. So go ahead and put those in the chat area, and we can try and address them as we go. The others that are available, that's why we have multiple moderators here, can help out. And we'll try
Dan,
to
I have
address
that poll.
that way.
I have that poll ready. Let me know when you want to run it.
I see in the chat, you ready to go, Adel? You want to find out if people are ready to go? All right, go ahead and fire the poll. And we'll make sure people are ready to go. All right, so you should have now a poll that popped up. Are you ready to begin? Yes, no, or no, I'm just watching. Please move on. Don't wait for me.
That's a good option too.
It is. We understand. But it is really useful if you do that. All right, so we've got, oh, it looks like we're ready to go, Adel.
Okay, perfect. Okay, let's start it then. So I will put my user and password here, and let's start it with Oracle Analytics Cloud. So the first lab is going to be about creating a new data visualization, a new project of data visualizations, and how to do that. So let's start right away. Let me minimize this. Perfect. So let me start creating a project. This is the home page of Oracle Analytics Cloud. We're going to have many things. We can create many different things. In order to start, we need to create a project. And in this project, the first thing that OAS is going to ask me is about what is your data set? What is the data that I want to use for this particular data visualization project? So we have the data sets here, and we have subject areas. If you are familiar with Oracle BI, this version that we are using for Oracle Analytics Cloud is the Enterprise Edition. Enterprise Edition has the data visualization Oracle Analytics Cloud, but also what is called Classic Home, which is basically Oracle BI for the cloud. Okay, so if you're familiar with the concept of subject areas, yes, these are BI subject areas, and yes, you can use it in the data visualization part. So we're going to select the very famous sample APP. And once we select it, we have in the left all the folders that usually are part of the subject area, like dimensions and revenues and metrics, sorry. No? So we have all the metrics here. So we have revenue metrics, profit metrics. We have also payment metrics. And we have dimensions, the context for all these measures, which are time and customers, geography, orders, and products. Okay, so let's start working with it. Okay, the first thing that we're going to do is to create a new data visualization. You can see my screen well, by the way.
Yeah, we can see it.
Perfect. So let's start it with analyzing which of our products are the most profitable and which of our products are the less profitable that we have. So let's start with this simple analysis, okay? Let me expand this so you can see it better. So I will go and open the product folder, and I want to analyze the product type. So I want to analyze the product type and the ratio of the profit. So I will select, I also want to open the profit metrics, and I'm going to select profit ratio. one thing that I can do, so there are many things, many ways to create my data visualizations. One is just to start dragging columns, and the visualizations are going to change according to the data that I'm using. Another way to do it is to use your control key and select more than one. So I select profit ratio, and I will select also product type. Right click and select pick visualization. I will select the donut one, and we have our visualization here pretty fast, pretty easy. And I can start analyzing this information and find out that, for example, one product type, audio, it's really the less profit that I can have. So I want to find out why, right? So we can start doing more analysis. This is the typical thing that any business user is going to do. So start with one analysis and try to find out the reason why he's seeing this data, okay? So after that, we're going to select a profit value again. One thing that you have to be careful, if you select more than one column, then when you want to create a new data visualization, just click the first column that you want, that will be, and select the other columns that are selected and start again, okay? So we're going to select profit radio. We're going to select month for time. Okay, let's see, let's find out what are the products, okay, that have this problem. So month and products. Let me see if I select all the three. Yes, and I can just drag them. This is another way. Instead of right click and pick visualization, I just drag them and put it in the left or right or up or down, but you need to see this blue bar and then drag, then release it, okay? I select the wrong month number instead of month, for example. This is something that can happen to you. Just replace it with the right column, okay? And I will change the data visualization for a line. Perfect. So this is a very confusing data visualization. No, it's a very confusing graph. It's impossible for me to see what is happening here. So what I want to do is to analyze what is happening with the products in audio, in the audio type. So, but I want to continue seeing the whole range of product types here. So I want to filter only the left data visualization. In order to do that, you have to go at the end, you select the left data visualization and go to the end, and you will see filters here. This filter only applies to the data visualization that you are selecting. So for example, let me go to product type. Okay, and I will select product type. I will drag product type to filters. I will select audio, which is the one that I'm interested in. And that's it. Okay, you will see now my data visualization, which is filtered only for the left data visualization. If I want to create a filter that involved all the visualization that appear here, I will drag it to this section. Okay, but this is the steps that we are doing in the lab. Okay, but well, we really want to know what is happening with this particular product type. So one thing that I can do is to analyze, for example, what are the inventory, the stock and demand for this particular type of product. But I don't have this information here, okay? So one thing that I can do is to add a new data set. So let's do that. I will add a new data set. And in fact, I realized that I don't have it here, so I need to create a new data set. Let's press the create data set button. If I'm doing a little bit fast, just let me know. Okay. And I will use an Excel file. So you can drop the data file just over the icon, or I can use I can select it, and I will do that. I will choose this Shape GC inventory for upload. Okay, so I have a preview of the information that I have in this Excel file. I think that I already have it, so I will put it a 1. You don't have to do that, right? And press the Add button. When I press the Add button, I create this data set in Oracle Analytics Cloud. And one thing that is coming with the 6.0 new version, that is the same thing that the version that you are using right now, is the possibility of having a simple analysis of the information that you have in each column. Okay, so this is a new thing. So when I create a new data set, one thing that happened was that a new tab was opened. Okay, so you still have the tab for the, for example, for the project here. And when you come back to that, let me see if I can put it here. Perfect. You will have the new data set that you have created. Okay, so this is new also in the 6.0 version. In the past, you don't have a new tab open in the browser. You have this tab open in the browser, you leave it here or close it after you add it to Oracle Analytics Cloud. Come back to the previous tab in your browser, and you will see your new data set. You have to select it. In this case, you will see that the Add to the Project button is enabled. Add to the project. And you will see that you will have the information here, a new data set. But first of all, let's go to the data tab. We are in the Visualize tab, creating the data visualizations. Let's come back to the data tab.
Adel, go back
Yes?
to Visualize for just a moment. There's a question in the chat that I can't answer without a visual aid, so I'm going to use you as my
Okay.
visual aid. To add a data set, Michael was asking, can you hover over the plus? Thank you. On there, that's where the plus button is. I know sometimes when you're running these labs, if you miss one little thing,
Yeah.
you're lost. So that's where it is. It's that plus button. So that's where it is. Okay, go on.
Okay, perfect. Into the data tab that we have in this project, we are going to see all the data sets that we're working with. And if you see, you will see like a line with 1 in the middle for this particular one. And if you press this, you will see that you have a join between those two data sets. And I didn't create anything. I just add a new data set. But because these two data sets has the same one column with the same name and the same data type, he assumed that this is a join. Okay. So if that for you is not a join, it's just in real life, no? It's not a join for you, you can just delete the match, or you can add another match. Okay. In this case, that was perfect. Thanks, Oracle Analytics Cloud. And we are going to come back to Visualize to start doing some visualizations with this new data set. Okay. So I want to select what is the stock and demand for products. Okay. So let me come back to product. Here. So I will select product in the product folder of my subject area. And I'm going to select stock and demand for, okay, and big visualization and bar. Okay. Okay, this is not what I expected. I probably didn't, yes, I didn't select the product. Okay, no problem at all. I will add the product.
And as Adel's doing that, just to let everyone on the call know, the way she's selecting multiple measures and attributes is simply with her keyboard of selecting Control and then clicking multiple at once and bringing them in.
Perfect. So this is how it should like, but it's not what I want. What is what I want? I want to compare the stock and demand. Because I selected the columns in this way, it's appear like demand, he the Oracle Analytics Cloud put it as a color, no, as a differentiator for color. I don't want that. I want, and I will drag it to the next to stock in the values y-axis, so I can compare these two values. And I will see that, for example, for micropod and for SoundX Nano, we have a lot of more demand than the stock that we already have. Okay, so this is an issue. But if you see the visualization, you have many different values, and it's kind of difficult for you to visualize which is the order for this. So we can create, right-click on the demand column, sort by demand, low to high. If that was a little bit fast, I can do it again. So in that way, I will order my graph for considering the demand column from low to high. Okay, so I will see perfectly clear that the two products that has more demand than stock are these two. Okay, so guys, how are we doing? Is that okay with you? We're good? I can continue?
So far, I think we're trying to, we're handling stuff on chat and on Q&A. Things are good.
Oh, okay, perfect. Okay, then, so I would like then to find out why this is happening. So I would like to add a new data set which has vendor information, vendor payments information. Again, I will go to the plus icon next to the search, add data set, and I will create a new data set because I don't have it here. Again. Okay, so I will select right now the vendor payments. This is part of your zip file that is in our website. When you download it, you have everything there. Okay. Same process. You see all the preview of the data here. Vendor payments once, I will add it just because I probably already have it. I save the data, same thing. I'm going to come back to my previous tab when I have my data visualization project, select vendor payments and add to project. Great. So if we are going to, sorry, if you're going to the data tab again, and you can go, put the mouse here, you will see that these two data sets are not connected, but they have the product information. I know that this Excel file has product information, and I know that I have the product in sample app, the product name, but I don't see the relationship between them. So I will just press this 0, and I will try to add a match. So add another match, you press the add another match button, and there you have Y. In the sample app subject area, we have, sorry, in the Excel file, we have the name of the product, the column name is product name. But if we go to the sample app and we want to find out the product name of the column is product. Because the name of these two columns are not exactly the same, he cannot, realize that this is something that he can join, right? So when this type of thing happens, you have to do manually. But again, it's quite easy. There's no code involved. So it's not only for IT, but business user. The idea is that this specific tool is really, really great for business users to create their own content. Okay, so we'll say okay, and then we have our relationship. Okay, then, so let's start playing with our new data set. So I will select product, okay, again, and let me go to the right part of the lab just to be sure that I'm not forgetting anything. Okay, so we're going to select product and select, let me expand vendor payments, and I will select outstanding payment. Okay, and I will just select peak visualization. And I want to use a new visualization. I want to use the tag cloud. Okay, perfect. So in this new visualization, you will see the product that I had the most high outstanding vendor payment. So that makes sense. So you know that in a very, very short time, in an easy way, you can create your own visualizations pretty fast. Another thing that we are going to do before anything else is to save our project. Okay. In order to save it, let me press our save button. Okay. And because we are using 1, 2, 3 instance, but we are many of us, you need to put the name of the project and your name. So for example, I already have an AK project. I will put AK1 project. You can put the name as, you can be very creative here, but at least be sure that you have your initials in there. Okay. And there you save your project. This is not something that we're going to show here, but you can, once you save your project, you can share it with other people in your company that are sharing your Oracle in this cloud environment, for example. So you can share the data sets, you can share the data visualization projects. Okay. So we're going to start with the exercise 2 for the lab 1. Just let me know, Dan, Shay, Brandon, if we are good to go for the second exercise, or if I have to wait a couple of minutes.
Why don't you go ahead and see if Carrie can fire the poll again? I think we're basically kind of keeping up on the questions, but what I don't know is those that are trying to do stuff and they can't even keep up and can't even type their question, which is what happens to me sometimes in a hands-on lab. Like, okay, yeah, I'm barely keeping up or whatever. Thank you, Carrie.
She's amazing.
You're welcome.
And Edel, it may help as well just to let everyone know what step we're on in the PDF as well.
Yes, so we are finished our lab 1 exercise 1. We're going to start with lab 1 exercise 2, which is the custom calculations and maps. So we're going to start creating calculation columns, because right now we are just using the columns that we have in our data sets, but we can create calculations. So that is okay. So I think that we are ready to go for the results of the poll. Okay. Okay, so we have enough visualizations in this canvas, right? So we can start creating new canvas. So if you go, you say when the canvas 1, next you have a plus icon, just press here, and you have a new blank canvas when you can start creating your own visualization. So what you're going to start creating visualizations in this new canvas. But first, let's start creating some calculations. If you just, compress all the data sets that you have, you will see that you have a My Calculations folder. If you select My Calculations and right-click, you will have the Add Calculation option. Then you can start creating your new calculation. So let's first start adding a name for this calculation. Let me put it, we're going to create and to start with a profit by customer count. This is the analysis that I want to do. So once I have the name, I can just select the data that I want. Okay, so I will select under my profit metrics, profit value. Just double click the column and you will see it here. And you can add operations, you can add functions. I will create this one and I will, I'm going to show you all the functions that you can use. We are not going to use function in this lab, but it's important for you to see it, okay? And also in the revenue metrics, I'm going to select the number of customers. So it's profit value divide the number of customers. So first of all, let's check that we are doing the things right. Just validate it. It's okay, and we can save it. But before that, I just want, this is all the operators, obviously the typical ones, you know, plus, minus, blah, blah. But we have also the aggregations, count, count distinct, max, sum, rank, running aggregate, string operations, you know, conversion to char, you know, expressions, time series calculation, ago, to date, forecast. This is very useful for the analytics, for the analysis of comparing, you know, for example, this revenue with the revenue of the last 6 months, for example. But well, this is just for you to have an idea of what we can have in OAC data visualization. In fact, if you're familiar with Oracle BI, this is the same type of functions that you have in Oracle BI. When you create, in an analysis, you create a new column. Let's save it. And then you will have, under my calculations, you will have the new column, okay, that you just created. Perfect. So let's continue with that. Okay, and I want to select, I want to analyze the information geographically. We're going to use a map, but I don't want to use a global map. I want to use a map only for US, okay? So I want to use the map of United States of America and not, you know, that include Latin America or whatever. I just want the map for US. So I come back to the geography folder, and we're going to create a filter that the country name is just United States. So let me go, and this is a filter that is going to be for the whole canvas. Because it's going to be a filter for the whole canvas, I want to put it here, okay? And then you can start writing instead of searching and select United States, okay? That's it. You have a filter for this canvas. One thing that is not shown in the lab, but it's important for you to know, if I go to the first canvas, I don't have that filter. That filter, by default, is applied in the canvas that you have created. If you want that this filter is applied to every single canvas that you are creating in a project, you have to pin it, okay? Just press pin, it will pin to all canvas, and that filter will be applied to every single canvas that you create, okay? Just for you to know. Perfect, so let's start creating our map. Okay, so let's start it selecting the province, state province. Okay. See that when I select, because I didn't use the controls yet, I just select the state province so the country name wasn't checked. Sure, be sure about it. Okay. So I will select, I don't know what happened. I will select a state province. And I will select profit by customer. So my new column, the new column that I just create. I will select it here. Okay. And I will drag and drop it. He creates a graph. Okay. I want just to show a little few things before, and I will put it as horizontal. So you will see the difference between the positive and negative values. And just to show you a few features, that you can do with data visualization, you can duplicate this visualization and modify it. For example, let me do that. Go to, and again, I will do it slower. If you just put the mouse in the hamburger here, you will see a menu, and you go to the edit option. In the edit option, you have duplicate visualization. Just duplicate visualization, and that's it. You have it here. Just a thing that we wanted to show you, because we are not using it, we can delete it. Just again, we just select the hamburger in the data visualization and delete visualization. Okay. Okay. So this is a visualization that, okay, it showed me some of the values, I can understand it, but it is not visually engaged. Okay, so it's not something that says, aha, it's the aha, it's not going to happen with this type of visualization for the geographic elements. So it will be better to have this in a map, instead of having a bar graph. So let me select, again, this bar graph that you see here. You can change the data visualizations and you can choose all of them. And we can talk also of all the things that you can add, like a plugin for extra visualization. But let's come back to this and let's select the map. Okay. And there we are. But I prefer to change the color because it doesn't tell me that much neither. So I will go to the color option, okay, and manage assignments. With this, I can change the color that I use for each revenue, each metric, sorry, that I'm working with. So I select the profit by customer count, which is the new one that I just created, and I'm going to select red to green. Okay, diversion red green. And create that, done, and that is so much better for me to analyze the information, right? Another thing that I will do is, because the map is a little bit small for me, I can expand it. In order to do that, remember that here we have all the data. Okay, below we have another window that shows the properties for this particular visualization. Okay, so let me select this visualization and go to map and go to zoom control. So you probably have to scroll a little or expand here if you want, if you prefer. And zoom control is off, so I cannot zoom in, zoom out, and I want to do that. So I will put it as on, and immediately it appears the commands of zoom in and zoom out in my data visualization. So I will zoom in, it's different. Okay, I can zoom out, zoom in again, and there is something that it's more easy for me to see the information. Okay. Okay, so before anything, let's save again our project. We don't want that anything is going to be deleted. Just save it. And remember that we're talking about custom data visualizations. You can have custom data visualization. In addition to all the, I don't know, or like 50 data visualizations that you already have here, you can add your own. So if you already created some interesting data visualizations, or you can also download it for the analytics library that we're going to show, that's it. You can add this special data visualization. So let me do that. We already did it. We include a custom data visualization, and we're going to use it here. So let me select in product metrics and profit metrics, total cost and date. Just for it's just for me to create. I don't know if I can create, but first of all, let me create it with a new canvas. Let me do it in a new canvas, so it will be better. It will be more cleaner. So I will select total cost, and I will select the date. Control, date. Okay, pick visualization. And these ones with color are the customized ones that are just included in the in my instance. Okay, so I will use this one, calendar heat map. And we have an idea of the total cost by every single date. And I have here the values for each column. Okay, so the range of the cost that I have per date. Okay, perfect. Let's save again the project. And And that's it. I think that we finish our exercise 2. Okay. Everything ready? Can we continue with the 3 exercise?
Let's go ahead and have Carrie fire that again. Yeah, while we're waiting for that, Adel, I
We can go to the analytics library.
There's an interesting question on here. Can we
Okay.
share these visualizations to non-OAS users and non-OAC users with interactive data and drill down capabilities? It depends on how you configure your instance. In general, people need to have a user ID in order to do this. You can export out the data, but generally, if you're going to have drill down capabilities, people need some kind of user ID on this. It gets into being able to sign in without a authenticated user. And that's something that I know Oracle is putting some effort into later on. So.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Dan.
Yep.
Okay, so we are ready to go. Let's start with our next exercise. The idea is to create, if you have seen all the data visualizations that we created, especially in the first canvas, you will see that every was fitting. I didn't did anything with the size of these data visualizations. Automatically, they were fit in the canvas. Sometimes this is the good option. Sometimes I want to have the decision of which are the visualization that is bigger than the other ones. So we are going to do that. So we're going to create a new canvas. And when I create a new canvas, you'll see that you have a triangle here. Just press it. Okay. And you will see the canvas properties. Inside of this canvas property, we have the layout. The layout usually, by default, is out of fit. But we can put it as freeform. This is the thing that we're going to do right now in order to create our own content and visualize it bigger or smaller. Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's create a new data visualization about the revenue and profit ratio and month. Okay, so let's start with that. Let me open the revenue metrics. Select revenue. Select control, profit ratio, and month. Okay. And we are going to select a new visualization. The idea of this lab is also to show you the different type of data visualization that are most useful usually for you. Just pick data visualization, and we are going to select combo. Combo is the right tool to right option to show different measures in the same graph, right? So let me, but what happened here is I want to have, and this metrics can have different different scales. So one thing that I want to do is to select profit ratio in aggregate in Y2 axis. So in this case, I have this scale for revenue and this scale for profit ratio. I have to be very honest. Sometimes I'm kind of skeptic to use this visualization in particular because it can be confusing for the users to see, oh, this is because the scale you see it's quite different. So maybe they think, oh, the profit ratio is under the revenue or something like that. So just for you to know, you have two different scales, two different Y axes here, okay? But just for you to, to play with this different type of visualizations. And right now, I can expand it. Okay, this is something that I couldn't do it in the first canvas, right? So this is something that with the free form you're going to define which is the size of the data visualization that you're creating. Okay. But let's talk about other things, because we are just being here in the data tab, right? In the data set, okay? But let's talk about other things that we have here. Here you have the visualization. This is something that we're going to see in a minute. We can select the visualization first and then select the data. All the things that we have been done until now is just select the data first and then pick the visualization. But we can start in the other way. Pick the visualization first and then select the data. Another thing that you can have, and this is, I love this option, to be honest, is the analytic functions that you already have it here. You don't have to code it. You don't have to, import it or whatever. You already have it here, and they are so easy to use. So we can have, for example, in these graphs, you have many peaks. It's quite difficult to see what is the trend. The trend is up, or is in the middle, or what. So if you double click or drag and drop, you will see the trend line. Just very easy, right? And in fact, if I double click forecast, I have also the forecast considering, so the forecast for the next month considering my previous month. Okay, no need to code anything. So let me expand this graph a little. I think it was a little too much. Let me minimize it. And I'm going to create some particular customization for this data visualization. I want to have the name of the company, for example, behind, the graph, because I want to see that, it's quite obvious that we are talking of this company. Maybe I have, many different offices and with different names or different acquisitions. So I want to do that. So the thing that we're going to do now is to start with visualization instead of starting with the data set. So let me go and select image. Okay. I'm going to create a new image. To select image, press the select image option. You can have an URL or you can upload a file. So let me upload it. I have the JTC Americas group. You already have it too. And it's not very clear, right? So I need that auto-fit inside of that box. So select the image and go to the properties. Okay. So in the properties, the width instead of original is going to be out of it. And there is a different thing, right? So we have our graph, we have the image, and I want to put this image so I can see JTC Americas Group under behind basically the graph. So let me do something. So let me move this. Let me move this image in a way that it will be here, but this just is in front of, I don't want that. So let me order the visualization and put it send backward. Okay, this is better. This is so much better. I can also modify the size of this visualization, but it's too strong, right? It's something that it calls my attention. It's not something that I want that calls my attention. The graph should, the numbers are going, the lines are going to catch my attention, but I don't want that this particular image catch my attention that much. So what we're going to do is to go to transparency and play a little with it. So if I put it, it will be more transparent, and it will look like, just, okay. So this is the a way that you can customize the image and data visualization that you have with a logo, with an image, with a, something like this. Okay, let's save our project. Okay.
Adel, can you go back and show on that forecast on the analytics? There's a question that came up that I wanted to show in terms of on the forecast. You can also change the number of periods. It came up down in the lower left-hand corner. If you scroll that down, you can actually control, I think it's on the Analytics tab. Sorry, I'm messing you up. I think it's on the Analytics there.
Yes.
You can control the number of periods that appear here. There's a little bit of capability.
Yes.
In one of the, you can have how many periods appear there. And also, you can, if you want to do more with this, you can create your own analytics functions in here. There's a lot more that you can do in here. This is just a simple way to get it onto the graph itself. And then if you want to do more with it, you end up creating a calculation to do more with this. And then you can control a lot more in this. And we'll talk a little more in the section that I'm going to be talking about on even going farther than that. If you work with the machine learning in the database, you can do a lot more than this. So this is just a handy way to add it to the graph itself.
Yeah, I think that I think that even the machine learning, we all know that the best way to use machine learning in Oracle Analytics Cloud is having the possibility to use machine learning in autonomous data warehouse, for example, and create all the machine learning models there and then import it into Oracle Analytics Cloud. But Oracle Analytics Cloud also has these machine learning models that you can use. As we talked about this many times before, it's not for production ready, but it's just nice to play with it. You know, so the business user can have access, or even IT people can start playing with something that they are not that familiar with the topic. Maybe they are just starting with machine learning, and it will be nice for them just to play around and see what are the possible results. And I think it's something the same with these functions, right? So there are more ways to do it, better ways to do it, but here it's very easy, and you will have an idea and start playing with this type of analytical functions. Okay. Okay, guys, we are ready for our next exercise and last exercise of lab 1. Are we ready to go, right?
I'm guessing yes.
Okay, perfect.
Should I relaunch a poll or?
I think just go.
I think we're good. Yeah, I think we're good. Okay, then, so let me start creating a new canvas. Okay. And we're going to create a new measure. And the idea of this particular exercise is to show you the narrative visualization, which is really, really powerful. So you can have, obviously, many different types of data visualization, many graphs, you know, done by whatever you want, but you also have this natural language generation, which is very, very powerful to use directly with Oracle Analytics Cloud. So let's go through that. Okay, so let me create a new visualization. We're going to analyze the total cost for product type, for example. So just an example. The give me 1 second. The total cost. Here we are, and the product type. Okay. And just, you know, drag it. Okay. And that doesn't tell me so much because I don't see which is the time. So I want to add the time. So let me add the month, the quarter. Let me add the quarter better. It will be there. And this is something that you can do. Just instead of just select all the columns and drag it, you can drag all the columns by one. So right now, for example, we have a graph bar, and this is something that Oracle Analytics Cloud has, which is it's going to select the best visualization possible depending on the data that you are showing. So for example, here we have a graph bar, which is the best way to compare different product type, different costs, in this case for product type. So different values of something, you know, but we don't have a date. If we add some dimension that is related with time, the best way to see it is with a line. because the time is continuous. It's something that it's better for us to see it, as a human beings, basically. So it's a best practice to use this. So we have it here in line, but what I'm going to do is to, let me change the visualization type. One second. And press the narrative option. So let me do something. I will change that as a graph, better. As a bar, sorry. Okay. Stacked bar better. Stacked bar here. Okay. And I will create with these same columns the narrative visualization. So let me select first the data visualization. Let me go to narrative, language narrative. Here we are. Okay. So I need to define the same values, the same metric, and the same dimension. So in this case, my metric is obviously total cost. So I will come back here, okay, and I will select value, total cost as value. And in the attributes, I'm going to select the quarter and the product type. Product type. And let me, sorry, let me product type, put it above quarter. That is important for the type of explanation. Okay, perfect. In this way, it showed me the trend. If I select this visualization and come back to the analysis, we're going to, sorry, the default is the breakdown. What we want to see is the trend. So it's a deeper analysis. You will see here, you have the overall trend and the breakdown per quarter, right? That is why we want the quarter below, because the breakdown is per quarter, okay? Perfect. So this is something that you can create very easily without the necessity. So it's an explanation of the information that you are seeing here, without having to write anything. So this is natural language programming, right? Generation. Another thing and this is the last thing that we are doing for the lab 1, is to duplicate the canvas. And for example, imagine that instead of using the total cost, I want to see the revenue. So I don't want to create everything from scratch. I just duplicate the canvas. I can rename it. I can rename the canvas and put it, for example, revenue analysis. This is not in the lab, but I will put it anyway. Okay, and sorry, just select the revenue. And instead of total cost, I will put the revenue here. I will select also my narrative visualization and just drag it. And just simple like this, you have a whole canvas with the information about revenue. Okay. Let's save the project. And this is all I have for the lab 1. I don't know if you have any questions, something that's done that you want to focus on. Shay, Brandon?
I think so far we're doing okay.
Yeah, and I'll just make a comment on the natural language generation that you're seeing on the right side of the visualization. I think this capability is really leveraging the power of Oracle Analytics and the AI and machine learning baked in, and for the fact that when people are consuming reports, a lot of time is spent simply just looking at the data within those visualizations. And what's great with the natural language generation is it really in plain text breaks down the key points that is making up your analysis. So it kind of streamlines that that process to find the most important information within your visualizations and your project. So definitely worth leveraging in your reports if you're using OAC.
Yes, and it's so much clearer, and the idea of everybody understand the same thing, you know, when you show the visualization, that is so important. That is so important.
I'm not sure if we have any French speakers on the call, but you can also change the language type, as you're seeing, Adel, from the lower left. You can click the English and change that as well. So more languages will get added, but just to show that capability too.
Yeah, we.
Now I'm lost upon what the data is telling me, since I'm not a French speaker, but just to show the capability as well.
I can read it, but I don't know if I will reach understand it, but I have a pronunciation in French. Okay, perfect. And I assume that in future you will have it in Spanish too, in a near future. Okay, perfect. That's it for the lab 1. We are going to have Dan. I think that we're going to have a break of 10 minutes break or 5 minutes break.
Before we go for the break, I do want to mention, Adel, if you can bring up the slide of the merchandise. We have a winner.
Yes.
Behind the scenes while you're doing this, there was a drawing that happened, and we have a winner for a $25 gift credit towards the merchandise that you see on here is Noah Stetler. Noah, we'll get in touch with you because you provided the email when you signed up, and you get a free mug or whatever else that this goes towards. And anybody else that wants something, you can help us out on that. We'll take a little break here for 5 minutes, talk a little bit about you know, what A&D OUC is, and go ahead and that way people can have a bio break and come back. And when we come back, Jay will be going through our second lab and taking care of this stuff. We'll give Adel a little bit of break. Thanks, Adel, for going through all of that with us. We will continue with the process of answering questions via Q&A or chat as we do that. So, Adel, why don't you rewind to the beginning? We'll put these links in the chat window. There's some useful information in the analytics library in here. If you go to oracle.com, there are a bunch of plugins that are available. If you find that some of the visualizations don't meet exactly what you're looking for on this, you'll find some additional ones. And these are, in some ways, think of these a bit as experimental, if you will. Yes. And there are other visualizations that you can get at in here. And by the way, most of these are contributed by Oracle. There are other partners that have contributed their own visualizations. Indeed, some of them, Valamis provided one of them in here, and others have as well. And this is where you can download these visualizations, add them to your OAC or OAS instances, and you just click on the download button that Adel is showing for the Gantt chart sample plugin. It downloads and you upload it then up to your instance, and then you add additional visualizations that were not originally in there. There's one in particular, I'll go ahead and also highlight, this graph network plugin, and I believe there's one for the 10K plugin that's especially applicable for some of the graph stuff that's coming out in version 6.0 of this that you can download. So all these plugins can be added in. You'll find some of them don't necessarily have all of the features that you have with the built-in ones. Sometimes you can't control these as much. They don't have properties in them, those types of things exposed, but they really enhance the type of applications you can build.
Yes, and another thing is that there are many that also have a YouTube video to explain what is the type of visualization, how you can import it, and everything. So this is very, very useful. And in fact, in the Oracle Analytics library, you have many things. You have some samples, some examples that you can also download. For example, for playing with machine learning. Okay, if you want to play, but you don't have some data sets to play with it, and you want to understand and learning more about it, you can download all these data set that includes also the machine
point out
learning
one
model.
thing in here. There was somebody that asked about forecasting. There's a whole example of time series decomposition that gets into that top one that's up there, right? Scroll back up to the top, time series decomposition. Get into what's the lift for various things. It's kind of an interesting example that's worth going through. And as a result, you can really get into a lot of the interesting ways of combining the technology in here and take this stuff to the next level. So it's really worth taking a look at a lot of these.
Yes, and also in the analytics library, you have the live demo instance. Okay, if you are in the Americas or in EMEA, and you can go, for example, into the Americas one, and you can just log in. You're going to log in immediately, and you can. This is not something that you can create offsets, but you can review some of the, and you have many projects that you can check, and just learn a little bit more about it.
The great thing on that live demos area is it does not require an instance, and it's available to the world. Go out and play with these things. So it's a pretty neat example of being able to, if you want to share it with somebody, a manager, and say, hey, just go and look around. That's a place where they can go. Click on that live demos. One of the things that something came up in the questions. Click on live demos if you would, since you have your screen, sharing your screen. Adel.
Sorry?
Live demos.
Live demos?
One other thing I want to point out on there. I think I saw it
Yes.
on that same tab.
Yeah, I already did. I did it in the...
See that OA Idea Lab? Nope. It was back on the previous screen.
Okay.
I'm throwing you off. I know. See the OA Idea Lab?
Yeah. Yes.
If you want enhancements, you have the choice of either going after Brendan. He's our representative from product management. Say, Brendan, we really need this feature. Or better yet, go into the OA Idea Lab and vote for your favorite enhancement in there and submit an enhancement requests on this. It's a curated way that product management looks at the way they prioritize what they're going to do.
Yeah, and I'll echo Dan's point as well. It's moderated by our product management team, so they'll see all of the ideas coming in, and we really encourage everyone to vote on ideas. If there's already one that you want out there, just give it a thumbs up, and that'll just help get our PMs to see that more eyes are on that specific idea to bring more attention to it. So definitely a community-driven aspect.
I'm going to put a link to that in the chat. Maybe we've given people enough of a chance that we can kick off with Jay going into the next section.
Yes, and Dan, if you could re-add the chat to the Google Sheet, because this lab is independent of the first one. So for those who have arrived late, you can log in, look up your the instance link and ID and password, and log in and follow along. We're going to go into data flow.
So if you take a look at the stuff for this, and I'm going to go ahead and put one other thing in here, just in case somebody has to leave early. I'll talk about it. I have an upcoming webcast about what's new in Oracle Analytics in May of 2021 that'll go through the OAC 6.0 stuff. I'll talk about it before, but I'll drop that in chat in case people have to leave. But I'll put also the link to what Jay's talking about in chat. You'll be able to find your user ID on here. And if you go to that URL, you can scroll down. It's in chat. Whoops, I got to put it in to everybody. Let me try this again. All attendees. There. So you'll be able to see that and go there. You can find your user ID and log in and follow along with Jay. Go ahead, Jay.
All right, great. Sharing my screen here. Okay, you can see the screen, right? Okay. Yep. All righty, great. Okay, I'm just cleaning up. Yeah, so we're going to cover two things. The main piece, this is data flow. So this is all about data preparation, and that's everything from governance and standardization and enrichment, formatting of data. It's all that preparation stuff that goes into and takes up a lot of our time on an analytics project that we're all familiar with. You know, we just saw some fantastic visualizations, but often that's the tip of the iceberg. And with Oracle Analytics Cloud, it gives us several tools to use to ease that burden of data preparation. There's a lot of tricks and intelligence in the system that helps us out. So we can create these data flows that become self-documenting, and we can rerun them and schedule them. And so all that data preparation stuff we're going to talk about here. So we're going to have two steps. First, we're going to create a connection to Oracle Autonomous Data Warehouse. That's where we can store some data that we prepare. And the bulk of the exercise is number 6, the data flows, where we're going to create 2 data flows and do some massaging of data and show how we can take data in, process it, and then save it in different locations. And I'll just go through the steps here. We'll go back and forth between the instructions and the actual tool. So we're going to create a connection. So first step there, and create a connection. And the type is going to be Oracle Autonomous Data Warehouse. And let's give it a name. As we save objects in this lab, which we'll be doing quite a bit, go ahead and add your user ID and maybe an initial just to make sure that our objects are kept separate. We do have some people sharing instances. And then there were the files that we downloaded that is part of the zip. And the link is in the chat as well. So there's a wallet that we want to upload that has our security. And that'll be here. And there we go. And then ID and password, and we'll get those from the document. I'll just copy and paste them here. So we're at step 3 of the lab. Student, we all have the same ID and password for this. So let's just copy and paste workshop 1112 with a capital W as the password. Okay, and then we'll use the medium instance. No sense to go all out here. And so we're creating this connection to our Oracle Autonomous Data Warehouse so that we can store various all kinds of data in the system. Okay, so we've created it. You might have seen at the top that we had some success. If you want to find it, we just go back here and we can see that we found, here's our connections. Let's find our connections. And there's our ADW that I created. So you'll be able to find yours as well, those kinds of objects. So the good news is we just completed the first of our two exercises here. So now that we've created that connection to the Autonomous Data Warehouse, we're going to go ahead and create some data flows. Just as we created the connection to the database there, we're going to go back up to create on the upper right, and we'll create a data flow. All right, and then we saw this this step with Adel's presentation where we can add a data set or create a new one, and we're going to create a new data set using a local subject area. So there's 3 kinds of data subject areas that we can grab. So I'll create a new data set, and we'll see that we have 3 options. One, we can grab data from our local file system, which we'll be doing shortly. But this time we're going to use the local subject area, and that means these are data sets that we've already uploaded. They're already available within the instance. And then third is we can access the Autonomous Data Warehouse. But this time we'll see we'll use subject areas that have already been created for us. And there's a sample app. So let's click on that and go to products. Where's that products? There's products. Whoops, wrong one. there we go, products. And we'll grab a few of these fields. We'll grab the product, the brand, line of business, and product type, just a few of the fields. In fact, I hit Control to select those values. Whoops. Here, I'm just going to double click them. It's actually quicker for me. I'll just grab them. You can see them showing up on the right. Brand. There we go. Whoops. And I can unclick here and send it back and forth. It's all simple. But we'll grab those 4 items and let's save this data set. We'll call it, I'll use my user ID, use yours, whatever the number is, and JM to keep us separate. And I will add that. Okay. So there's our data set. And I need to move this. And then we'll, so here's our data, and our profiling is all there. And there's our product column and our other columns as well. And we've got some good representative samples of the different data. And I'm just going to close that tab as we created the data set. And we can see that we have, we're back to this data flow, and I'm going to add this data set that we just created to our data flow. So this is the first step of any data flow, right? Data. So we got some data. Again, this came out of our predefined subject area, but we created a subset of the data. We didn't need all the stuff that's out there. And so we got the products, and we're going to add to this data flow. So we've skipped several steps. We added the sample application, products. We selected some different columns from the products. We named the products data set. We added it to the data, and now we're going to create another data set. And this data set is based on a file that's out in our file system. It's actually a CSV, because they're handy. They're great ways of us mixing a short list that we have, or adding some data or data from another system and merging that with our data that we already have. So let's create another data set. So we're going to add a step. So the data flow is a series of steps. The first steps are capturing our data, and we're going to add a step, and we're going to add more data. That's the beauty of Oracle Analytics Cloud. We can grab data from all kinds of sources and capture it and merge it, and then work with it throughout the stream of our data flow. So we're going to add data, and there's all kinds of data that we can add, but we're going to create another data set, and create. So there we go. And we're going to grab it from our file system here. Yep. And we're going to grab the sales. Let's see that yep, sales reps, all products. Sales reps, all products. There we go. And that's that. So this looks good. Again, there's a product column right here. So we're trying to analyze our product data. So what's sold? We loaded product like a product table before. Now we have sales by product. It's actually the person or the sales rep and what they sold and what their numbers are and how well they did at sales. And let's save this. I'll save the name again. 1JM. Use your own user ID, and I'll add that. Okay, so we are successful there. So now we have 2, and I will, again, we've got the product data here, all kinds of distributions of the information, and I'll close that tab as we have, and then I will add this. Click it and add it to our data flow. And now we should have 2 inputs and a join. So we didn't create the join. OAC created the join. So and it matched on its own, and we can see where it matched. It matched our input 1, the product column, to input 2. It just recognized the same data types and field names and made its best guess. So it created that join for us. So we're starting this flow. We've got our 2 inputs. We've merged some data, and now we can see more examples of the data fields as we go. Okay. Another thing is I happen to know that the second input we have has a lot of null values, and we want to clean those out and process those separately. So to do that, first we're going to still match. We want to match on all rows. We don't want to just throw everything away just because there's some rows that don't match in that second column. We want to process all of them. So what we want to do is merge the data that does match, and the other data, we want to kick that out into some separate bucket, a separate file somewhere that can be processed and handled later. So up to step 14 here, we're going to add another step, and what we're going to create is a branch. So we've got a branch. So there's all these kinds of different steps. There's transformations, aggregations, and filters, and there's some machine learning aspects, some classifiers, all kinds of logic that we can put into our workflow, because this isn't just about brute force automation anymore. People are expecting some intelligence in their data flows. There's data-driven decisions that are made, and more smarts built into the data process these days. And people are expecting to see that. So we added this branch. So there's a decision being made. We haven't said what the decision is, but it's going to assume there's some decision being made, and that data will go to 2 different files depending on what conditions are met. So what we're going to do is we're going to separate the null values from the non-null. So what we want to do is create a filter. We're going to create one right here before in each branch of our, and one down here. So we're going to create one in each branch of our data flow here. So I'm going to create a filter. I'm going to add a step really and create this filter. So it's inserted here in between it's what's going to create this file. And the next step is to click on this plus icon. It's down here. So we're going to click that. And we've got the available data. So what do we filter on? We're going to filter on product. And it's a little big. So I'm going to scroll down to the bottom. And we're going to grab nulls. And let's filter on those nulls. So that's that. So anything that has null product values is going to go out to this file here. And we're going to save that data somewhere. So let's specify where that goes. So there's the product. We selected nulls, and now we're going to save that data. I clicked on Save Data here. Okay, so we're up to step 21. Now step 22. This is good. So we're going to save this data, and I'll zoom in just a little for us. And we're going to save this, and we're going to call this data set. We're going to call this, what are we going to call it? That doesn't really matter. Oh, missing products. Yeah, these are our missing products because they're null. So, missing products. 01JM. And look where we're going to save it. Let's save this in our autonomous data warehouse. We've got a database connection, and let's see which one. We're going to use the database connection, and look at, hey, that's that ADW connection that we created earlier. So we're good. I'm going to zoom out a little, and so we've got this data is going to go out to Oracle Autonomous Data Warehouse. All those nulls, we're just going to put that data out somewhere in a bucket to be processed by someone else later, to be named later. So, okay. There's ADW that we selected. We saved the data. And now we're going to create the other filter. Remember, this is our flow. And so these are our nulls. We're going to save those. This is our good data. So let's add a filter there and specify what makes this data good. Well, it's that we do not have nulls. So let's add our condition. Let's scroll down to products, and we do not want nulls here. So we will select null. But what we'll do is this: we'll click on the hamburger icon because we like that, and exclude those nulls. We don't want nulls in our good data. Okay, so that's that. And then we'll go, I'll click on the save data icon there, button. And let's see which step. We clicked on the hamburger. We excluded all our nulls. And then we're going to save the data. And we're going to save it in a file called match products. So save the data, call it matched products. U01JM. And what we'll do is we'll just leave it here. We'll just save it in our instance. We don't need to save it anywhere special because we're going to work with it again. This is kind of a step. It's a data flow we're creating that's going to go into another data flow. So so that's that. We've created this. We've identified the inputs that come in. This can be 10, 15, 100 different files from all kinds of different systems. We make the joins. We do some processing. Here we happen to split out some good data from bad data and put the data files into different places for our results. So we've created this data flow, and now we want to run it. Actually, we want to save it. Save. And I'll just call this, let's see what step we're on, just for those that are following along. And okay, we'll just call this match data flow. We'll just call it product match data flow. Okay. Product. Whoop. Sorry. Product match data flow. 01G. Okay. Save that. So that's that. We've created the data flow, and now we get to run it. So how do we run it? Well, let's just click on this, the arrow up here. Oh, wrong one. What did I do? There we go. Now it's running. So this could run for a little bit, but it tells us, that we can continue our work. Really just a few seconds, but they can be longer. So, data flows can take, minutes, seconds, hours, depending on what's going on. But what we'll do is I'm going to go back, and remember we created some files and some data. And remember we created two different data sets. One was our missing data. And look what here, our missing products and our matched products. So both of those files have been created for us. The data flow is completed. So these new data sets are here. We could look at the data if we like. The missing data, if we open that, what are we going to see? I would expect to see a bunch of nulls. And sure enough, that's why we specified it. And look at, yes, got a lot of null values in these initial fields, but then some fields don't. But that's why we specified the data that way. And then our other data set is much cleaner. We'll just take a look at that just to be sure that our this was generated by our workflow. It came from those files that we imported, and it spit out the kind of data that we want to be working with going forward. So that's our first of two data flows. We're going to create one more. I won't save that. And okay, so so that's the first. And let's see what step. And for those following along, we're at step 35, and we're going to go down and we're going to create a new data flow. So again, right up at the top where we created our connections, we create our data flows, we can create other objects. And just a second. Oops, sorry. Okay, so we want to create a new data set. Whoops. Okay, so yeah, we want to add data set. Remember that we just created that matched products and we just looked at it as the last file we looked at. So let's grab that and use that as the start. We're going to do more with that file. That's our clean data. So we just clean, you know, there's no nulls in it. We like it. It's all good to go. So let's just grab that matched products and add that to our data flow. We're going to start this new one. So the output of one data flow is a nice clean data set, and that's going to be the input to another one. And remember, these data flows can be run manually, but they can also be scheduled. And maybe you have some data flows that run and generate a file, a data set on a hourly basis, and then maybe another job runs on a daily or weekly basis. So you can have different schedules that take all these different data feeds. It's quite common use case. Okay, so remember, we always start with the data flows, right? So we got one file, and we're going to add a few more. So I'm going to skip along here. We're going to add sales orgs, and we're going to add, what's the other one? We're going to add, what's the other? I'm going to add the sales orgs, and oh, and office. We're going to add office. It's down here. Yeah, I'm just skipping. Yeah, office. So we're going to go up to through page step 42. So let's just join. We're going to add some data. Add data. We're going to create a data set on those sales orgs, and there we go. And we're going to grab these from the file system. And while that's loading, I'm just going to scroll back, and here's where we are now, sales org step 36. And we're going to grab that file. So we've got sales org. There we go. All right. Okay. So that's a file. And did I grab that? No, it failed. Okay. Let's whoops. Let me grab that again. Okay. And a little delay there. Sales org. Sellers. There we go. File upload failed. Too many columns. Don't know why that would be. Oops. Let's just see. So grabbing the sales org CSV. I know there's not too many columns. Well, I'll go ahead and add the office one first. Get that one going. Okay, so there's our office. I'm going to save that.
And Jay, just a comment, you were grabbing the sales Excel file, and maybe the CSV is what you did.
Okay. Thank you. Add. Yeah, we'll just add that file. Okay, so good. And we'll create another data set. We'll join one more. Add data. And we'll add, create another data set. So yeah, we're just adding a bunch of data here. Okay. Oops. We'll go. just going to get us ahead here. All right. Sales orgs. System's running a little slow. There's our CSV. Thank you, Brandon. Okay. All right. Whoop. Okay. And we'll save that file name up here. 1JM. We'll just save that. Okay. All right. Add that. Okay. And there's our data set. So I'm going to close this. Let's check out our flow. Okay. So we've got our joins here. It's quite common to have multiple joins going on. Many joins. So that's our first step. Now we're going to do some processing. We got our input files. Now we're going to process them. And what we want to do is we've done the join. We're going to add some. We're going to add a calculated field. So let's add, our own logic. Let's mix it up a little bit. So add a step, and we're going to add a column. So there we go. And let's see. We'll just call this. We'll just call it discount percent per order. We want to find those that are heavily discounting. We're going to look at salespeople and which products are heavily discounted. So let's analyze that, and let's enter this formula and steps 44, actually 45, 46, 47. Those are just entering really this formula right here, which is discount amount divided by revenue times 100. And there's a little typomatic action going on. Discount, and it'll help us out. What I say, divided by revenue. It's helping us with that. Times 100. We'll check our validation, and looks good. So that's right down here. That's our step 47 that we validated our function. So that's our calculated field, and we will go ahead and add that. So we will apply. So when we're done with that, creating the calculated field, we create apply, and that's that. So there's our calculation. So now we've got some our own logic into the system, our own data. Okay, so last thing we're going to do is select some columns. We don't need everything. Remember, we just merged 3 files and on the same columns, so there's going to be some redundant values, some redundant columns there. So let's take a look, and we're going to add select columns. So there's another step in our data flow. There's actually 2 steps. We're going to select the columns that we want, and oh, they're right here. I'll blow this up a little. That's a little too big. So this is analytics, right? It's Oracle Analytics Cloud. We don't want a bunch of fields that are ID fields and clearly used just for links and joins. What we want is dimensions and measures. We want stuff we can slice and dice by. So let's get rid of this sales rep number. We don't need that. I'm going to double click it, and look, it comes over here. So we've got fewer fields now, and I'm just going to get rid of a few more from the list. Excuse me. So let's get rid of some of these that have _1. Those are clearly duplicates, so we're good there. There's 4 or 5. I might have missed. Oh, no big deal if you missed one. don't worry about it. But it does say in the instructions there, 17 at 22. So we're almost there. That's step 51. And now we're just going to save this. We're going to send this off to a file. Save. Okay, so there's our flow. Let's give the file a name. We'll just call it discounting data, sales discount. Okay, 01 JM. And we'll just save it in the default location. We could save it in our autonomous data warehouse as well. But that's it. Now that we've created this data flow, again, inputs, some processing, all kinds of transformations going on. We created a calculation. We've filtered the data. We've compressed only selected certain columns, but we could also filter the rows. We can create some more calculations or aggregates or put other intelligence into that processing, and then save our results either within our Oracle Analytics Cloud or off to the autonomous data warehouse or some other connected database. So let's just save our data flow. And this will be, I'll just call it final flow, 01JM. And I'll say okay. And we can run it. And this will run for a little bit, but when it completes, we'd be able to see our files and see that we've generated this this data that has our compressed or a calculated field. And let's just see if that finishes very quickly. We'll go ahead and see it. And what did I call it? There's our table, the data set, data. Just zoom out. Get our data. Give it a chance to. Did I not give that a title? Let's just open this one and see. Excuse me. Yeah. All kinds of data there. Okay. Well, I don't see our final data field. I'm sure it'll show up here. So our table, but our merged data should be showing up. But anyway, that's our data flow. We started, we created some files, downloaded. They all start with data. We process and we save. So thank you.
Well, thanks, Jay, for running through that for us. Why don't we go ahead and at this point, I have a couple things to share, but this stuff is not on part of our regular hands-on lab stuff. So if people need a bio break, we'll break and start again at the top of the hour. For those that are still there, we'll go ahead and talk through a few things to try and give you some information that may be useful to you. But we'll start the actual hands-on lab top of the hour. Anything else, Jay, that you needed to share?
No, just no, thanks everyone for attending.
Okay. Well, thanks. So we'll go through a few things, just make sure everybody's caught up. One of the things I do want to find out from folks, maybe the best way is in chat. I'd be interested in knowing, this is the first time we've done this type of TechCast days, a hands-on lab during this. And I'd be interested in knowing whether people were able to generally keep up with this. Do we need to speed up, slow down? And we figured we'd do the feedback at the end, but it occurs to me this might be a good time to get that for those that don't need the break and can let us know how this went, whether you like this format, and whether you want to see us continue to do these types of things in the future. I'll also put in a quick plug that if you want to be involved, I'm going to go ahead and share on the Slack workspace. We have a Slack workspace for talking in our user group. Let me get this all ready, and then I'll go to share my screen on this. But we have a workspace set up. We would love to have you all be involved in this. So let me go ahead and share my screen. So this is our Slack workspace. It's ANDOUC. One of my friendly colleagues will put the link to this. You can join this. And this is where we chat back and forth about technical topics. We can have people join this type of stuff, and you know, maybe you throw out some ideas in terms of what you could present on in our next TechCast. Chat back and forth, find other people in the community. This is meant to be a community in here, and I'll show we have a channel specifically set up for analytics in here, where we talk back and forth. We have yet another Slack workspace for running this user group. And if people want to join us for the user group discussions, help organize this, great way for professional development on this, and you can organize back and forth. You'll see us chatting back and forth on here as we get ready for the labs, you know, where are the links, all that type of stuff. We talk back and forth in kind of this running the user group, and we meet about every 2 weeks on Fridays at noon Central. And that's how all this comes together. It is truly a set of users. You'll notice the people that we're presenting were not Oracle mostly, and we're just consultants that love the technology. We're ambassadors for this, and that's why Adel was presenting, Jay was presenting, and then I'll do the next lab at the top of the hour. I would love to have you all join us and have some users from some end user companies join as well. We have a few, we could use more, frankly, and guide us as we develop this. We're also the group that puts on, if you've ever heard of the Analytics and Data Summit, that's my other coffee mug that I use, promotes the Analytics and Data Summit, a conference that we put on as a user community, and was previously known as BWA Summit, if you ever heard about that. One of the things that we're offering to everybody that shows up for this hands-on lab is the ability to have a private one-on-one consultation for free. And we'll get back to you. We are doing this as kind of a, if you request it, let us know, send an email. And Carrie, I forget the email address, or if somebody can put it in the chat, where people go in order to request that one-on-one consultation. It'll be about 45 minutes consultation. Maybe there's some things that you didn't get from the full lab that you want to go through. Maybe you want to talk about how you would implement this at your own organization. We'd be happy to get visit with you about this and figure out how to best help you all out. So let us know. I believe.
This is Carrie.
Yeah, go ahead,
I
Carrie.
also drafted a poll. I can certainly, you know, regarding your feedback for the format. I see that we didn't have a lot in the chat, but I could certainly relaunch the poll if you're ready.
Yeah, can you launch that?
Like,
that'd be fantastic. Thank you, Carrie.
Yep. All right, of course.
Carrie helps us run all of this. I wanted to get this through. I figured if we went till the very end, we might have people drop more. But did this format work for you? Went well, could be better. Yes, provide more HOLs like this one. We'd like to get your feedback on this as well as to what we should do in the future. So I'll let that run for a little bit more. Let people find that, and I'm going to get some slides ready to show. Okay, there are results. Yes, provide, well, okay, 63%. Yes, provide more HOL like this one, went well, could be better, okay? And we would love your feedback on how we could make it better and ideas that you all have. Indeed, we kind of are adjusting as we go, as you might guess, for this.
Yeah, one thing that I would like to add is that I think and we all share the same thought, that one way to grow together is through a community. You know, you have the idea is to have the possibility to, because nobody knows everything, no matter how many years have you been working with this. So it is important to share if you have doubts, and if you have, I don't know, maybe you have a solution or something that you want to share with the rest of the people. You know, do like a brainstorming chat or conversation. All of these are, you know, making all of us better. And again, this is a voluntary thing. So if you can give us a deeper feedback, you know, a more in detail feedback in the Slack channel, what are the things that you like it most, that you know, prefer in a different way, just let us know. We are here to just start and be part of the conversation.
Super. Thanks. So we're going to get on to the next lab in just a moment here. I do want to mention one thing for those that join this, you're getting kind of, we're using the latest release of OAC. This is the 6.0 release that's in the process of rolling out. Different organizations are updated at different times. If you want to see more on the new features, I'll be giving a webcast on this, new in Oracle Analytics May 2021. You can go to this URL. I'll drop that in the chat so you can click on there. And would love to showcase this is just one example. And there's like 24 videos on this stuff that I'll be going through, and some live stuff on this, going through some of the new capabilities. This shows the ability to have multiple layers of a map. Those that have used maps, you find you have to join stuff together. No longer in 6.0 do you have to do that. And this has a layer of interstate highways and locations where there are restaurants. You don't have to join those together anymore. So it's very useful. The ability to have multi-table data sets we'll talk about as well has huge implications for how you handle the whole IT versus ad hoc use within your organization. And the ability, you know, do you have to put everything in what's called an RPD file or not in the subject area? Well, that kind of changes a little bit with multi-table data sets, the ability to predefine the joins outside of a project, that type of thing. So there's several things. This is just a smattering of things. All right, with that, let me get back then to the hands-on lab content. We're over our 10-minute break. So what I want to do is go through lab 3, and you can go out here. If you're new to this, you can go out to our Analytics Data TCD Spring 2021. You can sign up, get your user ID over here, and see where you are, what your user ID is, find your name in here, sign in. I think everybody's done this at this point, but that's where you get the credentials to log in here. And then you can also get the files from here, from the zip file or the individual pieces. This is what we're going through, is this lab 3, if you want to download that. All right, with that, I've got on my other screen, lab 3 open, and I'm going to go ahead and get started on that. So first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to show you a little bit of machine learning with this data profiling and talk a little bit about this. So I'm going to create, this is the home screen within OAC. I'm going to create and click create a brand new project in here. And you'll find that we have data sets that we can load. By the way, these are where you can find the subject areas. These are predefined subject areas that define in something called an RPD file. And you can load from that just as easily and mash your own data sets along with subject areas in here. This is the classic way that OAC has been used for quite some time. So what we do often for these demos is we go ahead and use separate Excel spreadsheets because it's easier to transport these things around instead of having everything in one instance. In the real world, when you're doing this at your company, a lot of times you do things in these subject areas where you define all the joins, how you get at things and such. But let me go back to the data sets, and we're going to load in a data set that we have prepared for here. And I'm going to click on create a data set. We're going to add the data set attrition training 3.xls. So let me go ahead and do that, and I can drag and drop that file. So I just drag that over here, or you can click on that and navigate to where that is and drop this on this little icon, and it's going to upload Attrition Training V3 and show you a preview of what that looks like. This is the panel for adding a new data set in here. And one of the things we want to do in here, you'll notice it tries to figure out which of these are attributes and which of these columns are measures. And I want to show you the capabilities that you use in the interface are different for attributes versus measures. Measures, typically you put, for instance, on the y-axis on a bar graph or something like that. And I'm going to change this education column is actually, the software thinks that this is a measure, but I'm going to change that to an attribute. Notice I click on there, and then I can come down and change this from measure to attribute. I can do it at this stage or later. I prefer to do it here, get everything all set in here. And I can also change this employee number. That's not a measure. That's really an attribute of the data. And you'll find, like I said, the capabilities of software, sometimes just as a tip, if you're finding that you can't do what you need to do in the interface, it's often because you have something set as an attribute or a measure, vice versa, and you need to change it back here in the data preparation stage. So when you do that, now we can click Add, and that's going to add this, this data set to my Oracle Analytics Cloud instance. So I'm going to go ahead and click Add on here. Oh, all right, fine. I need to give it a different name. I've already tried this. We'll call it V4. All right, so I'd already tried this out, so that's why that data set is there. And then when you do that, the data gets profiled as it looks at this. This is something new, by the way, and this is one of the reasons we chose to go ahead and go with the 6.0 instance. This ability to show a histogram of where your data is and the quality of your data is new in 6.0, and it really makes it easier for you to tell where do I have data in here. So it does a profile, and it comes up with some recommendations in here as well. So we're looking at, and I can scroll across to see all the different columns and what's there. You can even, by the way, change any of this data, just a free little demo thing. Just to show you while we're here, I can change these values in here in this interface. Notice it also has noticed which ones in last names are red. Those are the ones that are null. And so I may want to change some of that data. There's that capability in here as well. Anyway, what I wanted to show especially was the ability to come over here, all the way out here is Social Security number. So I'll scroll that over. And if I click on the Social Security number column, you can see all the different records I have. Holy cow. You don't want to have Social Security numbers visible like this. We want to then ask it what types of things might we want to do with that. And one of the suggestions is to obfuscate the digits of the SSN. So if I click on that, that now runs to change a little procedure that changes all of that. I could have just done the first 5 digits or other things, extract different pieces of it. These are all the suggestions it has. And notice it is building up a script. As we go and manipulate this data, it's building up a script of all of these transformations that we're going through as we do this. So then if I want to now, after I've done all these pieces, treat this as an attribute, treat this as an attribute instead of a measure, and then obfuscate the digits of this. I can click on the pencil to edit it, all sorts of stuff in here. And then once I'm done with all these manipulations, I can click on apply script. So as you all are running through the exercise, you can see all of those. When you apply the script, that writes it back to the data set, and think of that as a mini database within the OAC environment. And that actually obfuscates and changes the SSNs so they're no longer visible. We could have done other things as well, but I want to show you what you can do with that. So Let's go ahead, and now that we've done that, let me show you what you can do. Click on the little arrow button to come back to the home, and then we're going to create a project. So you should be able to go back to the home at this point and click on create a project. And what we're going to talk about is explaining some of this data. We have all this attrition data. Maybe I want to look at it more carefully, and rather than me trying to look at this, we're going to ask the software to look at this. So I'm going to go and look at this attrition V4. That's the one I just added. And now I'm looking at my attrition data. Let me go back and show you what's in here in this data tab real quick. This is one of the changes, by the way. That little pencil icon is new in version 6. So let me show you something in here that I wanted to talk a little bit about the data so you understand why we're doing this. We have in here, this attrition data is whether this person has left our company or not, yes or no. And we have a bunch of names in here, their IDs, and then all sorts of attributes about this. And what we want to know is there some kind of pattern? Why are people leaving our company? And can we do something about it, perhaps to try and understand that better? Where is that coming from? So let me go back here, come back out, and go back into that project, and I'll catch up with you. So let me come in here, and I'm going to create a new project, like I said before. Use our attrition V4, add to the project. And then let's go ahead and I want to know something about this attrition column. So there was an attrition column. I want to right click on that, find that, right click and select explain attrition. So you can explain either a attribute, or you can explain measures. The capabilities of the software are different between these two, by the way. So if I just click explain attrition, it runs an algorithm and it gives you some information about attrition. So it says, hey, there's 2 unique values across the 1,470 rows. The most common is no, and the least common is yes. So it's trying to do some natural language generation on this and tell you a little bit about it. Right, and it also presents a visualization to show you information about that. So now you can explore that. And one of the things you can do, this explain capability is often used to add visualizations to a canvas. Instead of you having to figure out how you want to explain that data, you ask the software for recommendations on what it might do to show you information about this. So I want this donut graph. That seems like a good place to start. And I can select other charts. It's going to look at other attributes of the same data set and look at this, for instance, by ID, by age, or something like that. Down here is also a job role that I'm looking for. It's one of the attributes in here. I guess it was job involvement, job level. So I'm going to select that. When I turn this check mark in here, it makes it so that I can add that to the canvas. You can add any of these, by the way, in here, and add that to your canvas. And when you come out, it'll add these here. If you look at the key drivers, what is it that is driving the attrition? So I can, and then when you see the blue text in here, I can drop that down. It's going to say, based on attrition, the most strongly correlated are job role and overtime. And it's telling you about this, and I want to look at this by job role. So I'm going to select that for my canvas and have that added as well. And you can see there's a huge difference in the percentage of attrition for sales representative. And that's why it's picking out that part of the data and telling us that those are the 2 things that are most important. If I look at the segments that explain attrition, you can see, by the way, these go down on your handout. They actually show across, but it's the same information. And it's explaining the segments. It's running a machine learning model on here in the analytics instance. And it's saying that in your 50% of the attrition for no, with 82% of confidence, is based on these attributes. And I can pick job level, job role in here, and it'll filter out those parts of the decision tree that it ran and tell me about that and highlight these in my graph and say which ones are explained by what attributes. So these are the segments that help explain that attrition. And then finally, you can look at anomalies of this and say which things given that model, what would the software expect on this? And I might be interested in the expected row count when job role as research scientist is in the green line versus what we find in the data. I find that interesting as well. And there's all sorts of anomalies that it has found. When I come out of here, so you can click on any of those and add to your canvas. And when you click on add selected, it will add those to your canvas and build a canvas with whatever visualizations you found interesting. So now, rather than me having to build this stuff up, you can see how it has built out a canvas for me. And I can, just as you saw before, move these around and such. By the way, I do want to show behind the scenes, just a quick bonus thing is that it was building some of these values in the calculation down here. Under my calculations, I can see the expected row count when job role as research scientist. Come in here and edit this calculation and see what the formula is for this. This is kind of a cool way of seeing how the software is working behind the scenes. All that is running in the calculation in the software. So I'm up in now step 8. I'm in here. Click add selected. Look at these visuals, and now I want to save this away so I can get at this again. So I'm going to save this, and I'm going to call this attrition analysis. So that's on step 9. You can also save these in other folders, by the way. And I'll also point out something, this project save that generates thumbnails. This sometimes takes a while, and I find often I just skip it. It doesn't hurt to skip. It's just if you don't want to wait for it to generate all these thumbnails. That's just so you can navigate through the catalog more effectively. So find those things in the catalog when you save it away. If I click Save As, you'll be able to see I can save things in my folders, or I can come here, save it in shared folders. And this is how you can share with other people on your team and set up folders for common projects that you want to collaborate with others on. So now let's go ahead and show you, it created a canvas now called Explain Attrition. I can add another canvas by clicking on the plus button to add a new canvas. And so we're going to look at this a little more within our divisions and showcase more of what we can do and look at this with the East and West divisions on here. So I'm going to now show another way of navigating through here. This is a bit different from what you see perhaps in your handout. There used to be a little magnifying glass. Rather than forcing people to do that, Oracle now has this search box. And I want to show how this works. If you want to find these columns, this often happens, especially with subject areas that are very large with many columns. You can't find what you're looking for, but you know what it's called. These happen to be often in kind of its alphabetical order with some differences. So it's easier to find. But for us, I want to show what you can do by typing in column names. So I'm going to come in here, and we want to look at this by employee count, attrition, and division. Rather than forcing you to find those in here, I'm going to just type in employee count. And notice as I start typing, when you click in that search area, it finds those columns that begin with what you're looking for. So I'm going to click employee count. Then I'm going to put in here attrition. And as I type, I do have to spell it right. Huh? All right, let's just go back to attrition. So start typing attrition, it finds what's close, and then I type in division. Now, when I have all of the ones that I want selected in here, I can then grab these and click on Create Visual, and it will create the visualization based on those columns that I selected. And it chose a bar graph in this case, looking at a bar graph in here. So now let's drag these around to show you how you can change these around. I'm going to click on division and change it to a trellis column. And this is one of the changes, by the way. The ability to trellis we often see in our practice is not used as much as it should be. Oracle put in, this was from the very beginning, they put in the ability to have trellis by basically just about anything you want. And it's a very powerful capability rather than having it be just its own visualization. It's built into the grammar pane, that's what this is called, that allows you to trellis any of the visualizations pretty much. Often you do it by bar graphs, but you can do it to others as well. So we're going to take division, drag it from the color to trellis columns, and I'm going to take attrition and make it by color. So now we have the nose of blue and the S's is green. And then I can also change this to a donut visualization, donut chart. So that's what the next step is. So then you have a chart that looks like this, and you can see the differences between the attrition rate in the East versus the West, 17% versus 14%. Now, I'll put in a little bit of my own kind of preference for how things are done. I actually think that this visualization is not as clear, and if you follow the literature, it will actually say that we don't, as human beings, we don't perceive angles as well in differences of angles of sizes as we do with a bar graph. So this actually is better shown in the bar graph. If you look at this, the difference in the height of the green bars is easier for us to perceive in a bar graph than it is donut chart. But let's go ahead and keep it the way the exercise was designed. I'm going to go ahead and undo that. I wanted to show you in all of this, by the way, is this capability to have undo in here. And it comes in very handy for being able to look at things. It makes this actually a pretty good ad hoc tool. So I can also multi-select. So I'm going to come in here and show another way of selecting things. And we want to look at things by last name, environment satisfaction, division, work-life balance for those following along. So I'm going to click on last name. Find that in here. Last name and environment satisfaction. Let's look at this by division and by work-life balance. Those are the attributes I especially want to do and some analysis on. So I'm control clicking on all of those, but then I can right click and I can pick a visualization, and then I can pick the scatter plot. If you're not familiar, scatter plots are especially effective when you're looking at two measures. In this case, environment satisfaction on a scale of 0 to 35 and work-life balance on a scale from 0 to 40. It's putting the two different measures, one on the x-axis, one on the y-axis, in such. And you can look at that scatter chart and find patterns in here. So now let's go ahead and maximize these. Any of these visualizations can be maximized. If you click on that button, you'll be able to take over the screen and it puts up this thing, and you can click on the X to close the maximize. But that way you're focusing on this area and go back and forth. Looks, now I can move division to the color. From color to trellis columns, so we'll do a trellis on this again. We have two different divisions, east and west, but I want a separate scatter plot for the two different ones. And then I'm also going to move last name to color. I just want to show you what that looks like. Later on, I actually want to change from this, but now it's showing the last names. You can pick out individual last names by doing this, and pick out, this would be useful for being able to find them. And you can see it's trying to do its best in terms of a color palette that would make sense. But it comes up with, if you will, a colorful graph, but maybe not necessarily as meaningful on here. Now, let's say you want to filter just on those employees that have left and have a yes for attrition. And I want to show you something else. This filter bar across the top is kind of like the prompts in the old interface for those familiar with that. But we also have filters on individual visualizations. I'm going to make sure you all know that you can do that. So I'm going to click on attrition. So I'm going to single click on attrition, and we want to focus just on those that have actually left. So for yes for attrition. So I'm going to click and drag. This is what I want you to do. Click and drag the attrition down to the filters area just for the visualization. And that way it's only on this one visualization. And I can filter to just those that are yes. And many of those dots go away, if you will. And now we're focusing on just those that have left. And I'm looking at the pattern of the dots in here and noticing a difference between the west and the east. And I can even click on those and pick which ones and select them, remove them, all that type of stuff. If I want to remove this dot up here, I can remove selected, that type of thing in here. Some advanced stuff, don't do it. You don't need to as part of the exercise, but I want to show that capability. Built into the software is also the ability to define clusters of these, and it'll run an algorithm inside the analytics server to find out which of these have various attributes that are similar to each other. Now, to do this effectively, I'm going to actually go and change this, and I encourage you to do it as well. Drag the last name instead of from color. Let's not look at this by color because I want to reserve color for another purpose. That color doesn't mean as much to me, and I want to look at clusters of these and show you how you can use this for clusters. So you can select cluster. I'm going to click on the analytics tab in here. It's next to the cylinder is how you look at the data. The types of visualizations are in the little bar graph thing. And then to the right, and you may, if you've used the software, you may not have used this that much and noticed it, is a whole analytics capability that's built into Oracle Analytics. And there's a ability to highlight things via clusters or outliers, for instance. This is where you could do the trend line and forecasting and reference lines. But this clusters capability is kind of cool to be able to find the clusters in the data, and it runs a algorithm to try and find what ones are similar. So I'm going to drag clusters down to color, and it's going to find, by default, it finds, I think it's 5 clusters that it groups it into, running the classification algorithm, and it finds those clusters that are similar in here and defining those as cluster 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. What's interesting in here is that this 5th cluster in here is different in the West. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the West and only 1 in the East in this cluster. And you can see which people are in. If you hover over, you can see which ones are in each of these clusters. So that really only has just one value in the East, and it has it very prominently is in the West in here. So that ability to look at that, you can save this away and look at this in your dashboard as well. Now, one of the things I want to point out, what we find in our practice is people often want to know, what's the definition of this cluster? How did it run, all that type of stuff. If you're going to get into that type of level of analysis, typically you're going to hand code these things, or better yet, you're going to run the machine learning algorithms in the database, where you frankly have more control over this stuff than you do running an OAC. So if you get to that level, know that you generally want to run the machine learning in the database. Right now, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, other panelists, I don't think it exposes what the definition of those clusters are, what the decision tree or whatever is on these. It's kind of a black box that you can operate with. Same thing on the forecasting. You can alter some of the parameters, but you really don't have as fine of control as you have when you run other stuff. Adel, you had a comment?
Yeah, it's the same thing that we mentioned before. Is so one sentence that I like to say, and Charlie really likes it, is use the right tool for the right job. So if you have the opportunity of having Oracle database, could be autonomous data warehouse, could be an Oracle database cloud, could be an Oracle database on-prem, use machine learning there, and then import the models into OAC. Then you have all the power, because it's the best combination possible. You have all the power of the database to create a machine learning model. So you have much more flexibility for parameters and definitions. And then the data visualization is nothing that can compare with OAC. So this is the best way to do it, yeah.
Yeah. Now, you'll find that we're starting to run out of what we have in the script that's prepared. But I do want to show a couple things on this while we have some time. If you have questions, put them in the chat, and the other people, other presenters, let me know if you have other things that are coming up that people want to ask about or they want to look at. I have a hard time monitoring chat and presenting at the same time. But I do want to show now, we go ahead and save this away now. I'm going to save that analysis with this attrition analysis, and I have my extra canvas showing these different cluster that I'm talking about. We can look at the work-life balance and employment satisfaction, why they happen, and we can come back to the home page. There's a couple things I want to show in here while we're in here. I'm going to just click on the skip in here. So if I look at a visualizations, let me show, we've spent a lot of time today in this ability to select which columns you want. We talked about searching through those for the ones and clicking on these, control clicking. You've seen how you can create your own calculations. All that type of stuff is in here. If you look at the various types of visualizations, a few releases ago, Oracle went to this monochromatic way of looking at these visualizations. By the way, any custom ones are down here, generally colored, that type of thing. And you can add, these are custom visualizations that were downloaded from the analytics library that I think Adel was especially showing on here. So they're available as well. There's another way of looking at these as well. This is in the lab. You can click on this hamburger menu here, drop that down, look at them with the tile view. That's what most people are probably used to. You can look at them as a list, and it's an expandable list by the various categories of these and look at them that way. Or you also have the ability to look at them with the objective view. So perhaps you want to know, gee, if I want to compare two values, OAC, what visualization types would you recommend for comparing two values? And notice in here, in the comparing values, you don't find, for instance, a pie graph. It's because a pie graph is not a best practice visualization for comparing two values or comparing multiple values. Better to use these horizontal bars, lines, and so forth would be to look at those via those types of visualizations. So you can look through those and see how to use that. In the handout, we included some additional resources, different chart types that you can use. I'll go ahead and show this down here. Different chart types for comparison, trend, composition, relationships, distribution, flow, all that type of stuff. You can look at these, and provided that in the handouts for these. So you can take a look at that in the PDF file. I also want to, I included in here, if you want to get more into looking at this, there's a link, I'll go ahead and put this in the chat, to the an extra thing you can look at, an extra project that's available actually to everybody. That's what this link, we just changed this out last night. If you have the new lab, you'll have this. If I control click on here, it loads up this, and this is a road analysis lab that you can take a look at for this. I thought that ran and loads automatically. It looks like it is not loading. I thought that was in the always free one. So sorry about that. Not sure why that isn't coming up. But anyway, you can look at the in here for this. So with that, that's, oh, and I just wanted to show one other thing in here. If I come out here, now that we've saved this, we talked about these additional models. If I drop down this hamburger menu, and there are Oracle videos that show how to do this, this register ML model is where you go to end up looking at what machine learning models you have in your OAC instance. I didn't set this up, so I don't know what's in here. Apparently we have some models that are already in here. You can see they have cryptic names. I can register those. And this is the link. This is the magic link between what you set up as machine learning models in your data warehouse, in your Oracle instance, and be able to use those models in Oracle Analytics. There are videos that go over this that if you just Google this, you'll find it on how to register your models. You need to know a little bit about machine learning to do this, but once you set them up, you can capitalize on them and be able to do things like prediction, look for fraud analysis, all that, and expose that through your Oracle Analytics instance. Okay. With that, that's what the exercise especially goes through. I want to thank everybody for joining. I do have a few closing slides to show. We can go through the analytics and data Oracle user community. This was back in the when we first started about 2.5 hours ago. We're going to be going through this. This is where the files come from, and then this is where we'd like you to join the user community through our Slack workspace, through our newsletter, LinkedIn, and Twitter. You can follow us all these different places and join in with us. If you missed out on the, you weren't the winner of our drawing, you can go to our store and shop and go ahead and pick up some of this merchandise. This is the type of thing we use for paying for our Zoom account and such, that goes towards supporting the user community. We also want you to join. If you come in here and want to submit your abstract, you too can be presenting on this, and become famous in your presentation to the user community. We have a pretty good following at this point. We'd love to expose your type of solutions and have you present really to other users the types of things that you've done. Often these are case studies that people have done. It doesn't have to be fancy. Just talk about how you implemented analytics in your organization and share that with the rest of the community. We look through these and select them and have TechCasts. This is where they come from. You submit abstracts, we select them and schedule them probably in about another 2 months. That's about the time frame we usually schedule them out. We have a committee that goes through those and does that, including our next one is by Patrick Wheeler. He'll be talking about the autonomous database tools for loading a autonomous data warehouse on this. So join us on June 3rd. You'll find the information on andouc.org under TechCasts, and you can join that. We also have a 3-day, our next TechCast days is October 5 through 7, and we'll have a fall session. We'll be talking about, usually we've been doing machine learning on one day, spatial and graph on the second day, and analytics plus. The plus is for additional things. It's not just on Oracle Analytics Cloud or Oracle Analytics Server. It's also the other parts that people want to do with analytics on the third day. And we'll do that in the fall. We've picked our date already in October 5 through 7. In between, we'll be having these regular TechCasts about every 2 weeks on, generally, I think they're mostly on Thursdays on this. We have several links in here where you can go find some of this. This, by the way, this OAC YouTube channel is very helpful for finding lots of demos of this and capabilities of the software. So lots of subscribers in here. You can look at the videos in here, and it's a great place to learn about all the new capabilities. By the way, I just know this Introduction to Oracle Analytics April Cloud Update is a lot of the information I'll be going over. This is where I learned a lot of it. And there are, I think, 25 videos in here that show the new capabilities in here. You can see, and we didn't even mention the Oracle Analytics mobile app is out now. That's been released, and this is a very cool demo. Take a look at that, download it for your Android or iPhone device, and you can take advantage of almost all the capabilities of Oracle Analytics on your tablet or your phone. It's out there. It just came out.
If you want to play it, I think it's a quick 40-some seconds, and then I think you'll just have to, you'll have to kick off the audio on the Zoom side for your own before you click play.
Let me see if I can do that. That's a good idea. I got the time. Why not? All right. So let me find my control panel for that.
And I'm sending some links into the chat right now.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Test, same as system, audio settings. Where do I find it?
Under the ellipses on the Zoom chat, there should be an option to enable audio.
Oh, it's on the Zoom chat.
Yeah,
that's where it was.
And then just uncheck the mute on the YouTube video, and then you begin.
Share sound.
There you go.
Found it, I think. Let me try it.
And then the YouTube video is muted as well. There you go.
Yep.
Most business users aren't in front of their computers all the time. However, they do need access to their data and analytics while they're on the go. With Oracle Analytics Mobile, all your reports and dashboards are available at your fingertips all the time. You can search across all content in the Analytics catalog. You can query across all data sets using natural language. You can even consume data and gain insights in hands-free mode with the new podcast feature in the mobile app. Now this is augmented analytics that everyone can get used to.
Let's start by looking at product sales across a total of 39 products. Sales for the period grew 15%. What stands out in this instance is that 4 products account for 42% of sales, with the other 27 accounting for the rest.
All right, so if you didn't catch that, the computer-generated voice was actually the analytics software coming up with trying to explain this. This is Oracle trying to figure out how on a mobile device do you present information effectively, and one of the ways is via voice. So they've got the computer-generated voice giving you that information that's built into the Analytics mobile app. You want to download it and take a look at that on this. So nice little video showing that. All right, so anyway, I wanted to show that in here. Lots of other videos in here to look at. Let me come back and see what are the slides I have in here. That's just the OAC YouTube channel. Udemy, you can get free training on this. You can run OAC live. Here it is for the demos, the Idea Lab we talked about. We also thank all of our presenters, Adel, Jay, Brendan, thanks for jumping in, helping out from product management.
Dushan.
Thank you.
This is the information on the hands-on labs in here. And I'll go ahead and quick plug. If you want to learn more about the new features, here's the information to register for that. You can, that's just in a week on next Tuesday. We'll be going through the new features in this release. We have some other slides in here. If you haven't seen Oracle's latest marketing slides, they've done a pretty good job of updating their decks and coming up with some of the capabilities. I'm going to go ahead and just click through these a little bit. Brendan, go ahead and jump in if there's anything you want to add to these.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll let you just click through those, but really just letting you know that Oracle Analytic Cloud is really open to data source connectivity. So obviously being able to connect to all your needed Oracle data sources, but also third-party data sources are supported. Today, we showed the example with the sample app and Excel files, but other third parties are out there. And then with data prep, I think with what we saw with the data flow section, as well with Edel's data prep station and Dan's as well with obfuscating data and enriching data that much further. With this new 6.0 release, you can also bring in your own metadata into this enrichment section. So while you can currently enrich things with population and currency and things like that, if you have your own areas you want to further your own data sets with, you can do so with 6.0. as Jay showed, really being able to really ingest, clean, and transform your data. I think as analysis goes, about 80% of the time is actually spent preparing and cleaning your data. So that's kind of the goal where data flow aims to streamline that process, making it a one-stop shop for joining your data, cleaning it, and then creating that set for reporting needs. And then with 6.0, there'll be a new Redwood interface that's coming. And I encourage a keynote that our Senior Vice President, TK Anand, delivered that's on our YouTube channel now as well, that'll highlight the interfaces. But with this new unified homepage, you'll be able to quickly find your reports, projects, and everything you need directly from that homepage. And same goes for if you're using the mobile app, that marriage between the two platforms. As we saw with the natural language generation and natural language processing, from the homepage, I'm not sure if we demoed it today, but you can also use plain text to ask questions of your data as simple as asking real questions. So from that homepage, you can kind of see in the screenshot below, you can type in things like, show me revenue across your product segment, and it'll generate off of that textual query visualizations and reports directly for you, so you can get those quick answers when you need them. And then as we learned and everyone followed along today, OAC is very much a self-service tool where you can come in and find your answers where need be, doing predictive analyses, as Edel showed, with forecasting and trend lines and things like that, but also bringing in different data sources to find your answer. So, and there's a lot of creativity, I think, as well with OAC, where we showed a lot of the capabilities. You have that freedom to bring in custom images that Edelweiss showed with the example that we used. And you can really get the storytelling aspect out of it and kind of do things like infographics and things like that. Analytics as well. I know there's a lot of good ones out there. And then as we showed as well, just that natural language generation, that ability to kind of help end that storyteller's writer's block, so to speak. It kind of is writing your data story for you and describing the main point for you. So that's the natural language generation you saw in the demo today.
So then we'll just want to encourage everybody to save the date on October 5th through 7th. We'll do this all over again. Let us know if you'd like to present as part of that. And one last mention, if you want to hear more about what's been released recently, I'll be going over that. I'll drop it in chat real quick here in case you missed it. And I guess one last save the date. With that, I think that's all I have in the deck. Adel, any other thoughts you want to share?
No, I think that it was I hope that it was a very interesting 3 labs for the rest of for all of our attendees, and maybe we can do some machine learning. If you want, you can vote for it in our Slack channel. Machine learning integrated with Oracle Analytics Cloud for the next hands-on lab.
Yeah, that would be great. And Jay, thank you for also going through, especially the data prep and data flows. Anything you want to share?
Oh, well, thank you, and I just encourage anyone here to join the community. You already have shown an interest in these topics, and that's all we do is dive into Oracle data and analytics. Also, we are potentially having our next conference in the springtime, so keep close, and we'll be announcing that in a little while.
Yeah, we're hoping to do that again as we get through all this stuff. With that, let me see any last chance for sharing. Otherwise, we're going to end the session. If people have stuff to share in the chat, Q&A will stay on for a little bit. But thank you, everybody. And we will have